Stoli Vodka is one of the world's most awarded premium vodkas. With a commitment to uncompromising quality since 1938, Stoli controls every aspect of its vodka making, from planting, harvesting the finest ingredients, to distilling and bottling. This process has been followed for decades to guarantee the consistency and quality and signature ultra-smooth taste in each iconic bottle produced. Isn't it time you picked up Stoli Vodka for a try? For those who know their vodka well, and themselves even better, Stoli, the vodka. Check out Stoli as the official vodka in Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Enjoy responsibly. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Stoli Group USA, LLC, New York, New York.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
Skolik and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz, in for Trey, with a bunch of Golics on one side of me, and a Jeff Darlington on the other. Presented by Progressive Insurance, all phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We're having we had our first fight. You know, we didn't agree on Jimmy Garoppolo, and I feel like, have we made up?
We're going to have many fights. There's never any making up. Listen, you're allowed to have your opinion, and we're allowed to say it's wrong.
Okay.
I mean, that's just how it works.
And dumb and really poorly thought out.
I like how your dad's a total pro about it. You're undercutting here. I felt like I feel like our trust is violated.
Young
Mike.
and brash, man. That's got to lean into the brand.
I think undercutting hit hard. Offensive linemen always trying to cut, leg whip, all that kind of thing. Cheat.
Play dirty. You play dirty when you're not up to par with everyone else.
There you
do
go.
what you can. Scratch and claw.
I think you're still angry that you feel like Woj hurt you yesterday because he didn't give you the scoop in advance on trade deadline day, Mike.
Was right here. He looked me in the eyes and told me it was going to be tame. I don't know what to do anymore.
Well,
I don't know who to trust.
Who to believe, who to trust.
Thankfully, I can trust Jeff.
Well, let's hold on. We'll see about that.
Maybe.
One step at a time here.
Don't hurt me, Jeff.
ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington joins us in studio, giving you a Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. And we're going to get to some of the happening football stuff going on, but we do need to get caught up on everything that's trending. And it starts with
Pyeongchang.
Oh, I just can't. I'll never watch the Olympics and not think of that. The world will turn its eyes tonight to the Winter Olympics when the temperature could hover around minus 10 degrees Celsius, including wind chill, in what could be the coldest Winter Games opening ceremony in decades. Does anyone know what minus 10 Celsius is?
Did you say Celsius?
Celsius.
Yes. Yeah,
is that colder or warmer?
I
have no idea.
The Celsius thing.
I have no idea.
Don't you like double it and add something?
Four sports people in a room.
Yeah. That's a bad
Is it
thing
warm?
to do.
Is it colder than Minneapolis? Because that's my current gauge for the coldest possible thing.
I believe it is, which is a terrifying thought.
It
because
is. Right.
Knowing we all just got back from a place where my bones are still thawing.
That's right.
Yeah. We're going to have Michael Ease on a little bit later. He's in, hit it.
Oh, sorry.
Pyeongchang.
Yes.
That's where he is. He's actually going to be talking to us while the opening ceremony is going on. Because what is it, 14 hours difference? 14 hours?
14-hour difference. And we have an update. Negative 10 Celsius is 14 Fahrenheit.
That's not bad.
That's warmer than Minneapolis.
That's
They're
warmer
complaining?
than Bristol.
What are they complaining about?
This is fine.
Is it that bad that the four of us had no clue?
Zero clue.
I was literally thinking it was probably negative 172 Fahrenheit.
It's like being
math.
on the moon.
Right.
It's as cold as the moon.
Yes.
But we've already seen, because Jason, you and I were talking about, we were already watching events, figure skating last night where nobody seemed to be able to stay on their feet. Our brother-sister tandem, the Hamiltons from Wisconsin, getting beat by Switzerland in mixed doubles curling last night.
How come they have all these events before the opening ceremony?
Because they have X amount of time to get all the events in, so they have to start some early because they last a number of days and things like that.
I still have a problem with that. Like, do you feel cheap if your Olympic event is before the opening ceremonies? Yeah, it's like,
I don't know if it ends. I don't think any are over before the opening ceremonies. I think the first medals given out are on Saturday, I believe.
But still, like, I don't want them like blowing a party streamer before my event starts and that being my kickoff to the Olympics. Like, I want the torch.
Totally.
I want everything
There
else.
is something to set that. I think I could agree with that.
you know what? They should just put the four of us in charge of the next ones, and we'll.
Except we don't know Celsius, so we're going to be in a struggle.
Decided disadvantage.
Among other things.
That's what we'll go from where it's really cold to where it's a little warmer. 30 spring training camps set to open early next week, and an unusual number of players still without contracts, some among the top free agents on the market. So the MLB Players Union is looking at solutions.
Pretty wild with this one is, so with all these free agents not signed, they're looking to hold a 31st training camp, maybe in Florida or Arizona. I thought that was interesting, but there are, and I heard you bring up some of the questions this morning, Mike, of, well, if you're going to do that, if you're not signed and you're going to go somewhere and you're going to practice your craft, there's a few what-ifs out there.
Yeah, there's always the injury risk, and we heard this come up, the NFLPA angle, when the XFL was talked about, which is how would players that went down this road be protected through injury. And I guess you could ask the same of this, because it wouldn't be a team activity. And we know certainly from the world of football that there's a difference in the way injuries are treated when they occur off the team's property, outside of organized team activities, and differently. So I know Scott Boras has already said his clients wouldn't be participating in this. And so I'm interested to see what the reaction is like with that, because you're trying to keep guys' skills sharp, I get, but there's a fine line you have to toe.
The interesting part to me, too, is if we're going to put this together, it just presumes that GMs have forgotten about these guys. I want to think that baseball GMs are better than that.
No, I don't think they have it. But there is there's a little bit of a shift going on in baseball. We see it in basketball with the guys that were $12 to $14 million guys, or maybe $8, $9 million guys now. So money getting a little different in both those sports, but as we're going to get to in football, the money's not still okay for, even though not all of it guaranteed like the other sports.
Before we get to football, some troubling news, really. Jimmy Buffett is bidding farewell to the days wasted away in Margaritaville.
Yeah,
searching for his lost shaker of salt.
He said he's not drinking margaritas anymore. Now, this is interesting. He said he's not drinking them, no sugar, no carbs, except on Sunday. That's his diet. He said he also stopped smoking weed, and instead he opts for
what is happening to the world?
Listen.
This is discouraging.
2018, he's vaping now.
He's vaping. Yeah, he's doing the vape oils and not the weed anymore. Though he's not sipping these sugary margaritas, he hasn't given up tequila. So he's not drinking the margaritas, but he's drinking the main ingredient of the margarita by itself.
You know what? 2018,
Come on.
It's not.
Come on.
He's not playing the young man's game anymore. Sometimes you got to mix in a tequila water in there. Sometimes you got to vape a little bit after a long day.
I'm moving to Canada. So if Jimmy Buffett is giving up margaritas, I mean, that's as bad as it gets.
How can you sing the song and not feel like a fraud at this point? Plus, you can make like a skinny margarita with a little lime and Splenda in your tequila. You can sort of fake the margarita.
The guy's been looking for the shaker of salt for years. At some point, you just have to cut your losses and start making drinks with what you've got on hand.
I need to make a very serious point here, okay?
Go ahead.
One of my life goals is to hang out with Willie Nelson. That's all I'm going to say. I want to hang out with Willie. Don't get any ideas. Jimmy is wrong here. Before you and I hang out, after you and I have hung out, you can do whatever you'd like, Willie. But before that happens, please let's.
I don't think Willie's going to change. I think you're around him is going to be like being in a smokehouse. I think you're going to be okay.
I missed out on an opportunity like that. I had a chance to hang out with Snoop Dogg in college when he came and played at Notre Dame.
A lot of quotes going around this room right now.
I chickened out on my chance to hang out because I was afraid of college's random drug testing, which can sometimes come when you hang out with Snoop Dogg.
Did you imagine Snoop playing at a college campus and athletes going there, and then the possibility of the random drug test after that?
Yeah. Do you know I've been to about 10 Jimmy Buffett concerts, by the way?
Really?
Is that not an odd? Maybe more.
Concerts.
No, I've been to probably several of those too. At the Super Bowl, Snoop's always there.
Yeah.
I did not picture you as like a parrot head. That wasn't.
I was actually part of the Tampa Bay's Parrot Head Club at one point in my life. I had a fake ID to get in. I swear to God.
All right, so I have a Jimmy Buffett story. Greeny and I were doing a show in Chicago, live show, and there was a band there playing on the rejoins, and we had Jimmy Buffett we were going to talk to on the phone during that show. So I sang Margaritaville. The band played it. I sang Margaritaville while Jimmy Buffett was on the phone. He did not give me rave reviews.
I would love to hear that.
I was a little bummed. I know, we're trying to dig it up and find it. It was years ago. Wasted away again in Margaritaville.
Wow.
Searching for my lost shaker of salt.
We're sitting like a C right now.
I mean,
Got
I
room
feel
for
like
improvement.
That's as good as Jimmy Buffett.
Well,
it's not like he's a vocal
that's
genius.
What I
If
thought,
I close my eyes.
That's what I thought, and he kind of, dissed me a little bit.
He's getting awful judgy lately.
I was a little bummed. Maybe he wasn't vaping then. Who knows?
I have noticed that it does not take a lot for Mike Golick to break into song. Like,
no,
he's like, you twist my, we're racing. Yeah. I mean, there's an immediate segue for
and
you.
I'm happy to. I think I've passed it on to Junior here because he likes to do it as well. He's a big singer.
Yeah, it's amazing how much worse I get when I turn down the volume in my car. You get bold all the time.
Do that.
You're carpool karaokeing, and you're like,
no.
I want to hear a little bit more of me. And then as soon as you do, the volume goes back up in a hurry. It's amazing.
Golick Jr. also with the sweet dance moves. I learned that quickly.
Yeah, he can move.
Yeah.
Wow.
The bar when you are both fat and white is very low to clear as far as looking like you can dance well. So I've got that going away.
Speaking of sweet moves, Jeff Darlington, yesterday on Twitter, you revealed something to the world. You said, this is your tweet yesterday. As I turned the corner to leave the SportsCenter set, at Woj ESPN was literally sprinting down the hall, laptop in one hand, suit jacket in the other, like Clark Kent in search of the phone booth.
That's a great tweet.
Could have totally been an ESPN commercial.
That's as good of a description as I could have given it, and there was no exaggeration there. I mean, I tried to be like, hey, Woj, and he was like, I mean, the nerdy version of Superman for sure.
That is amazing. The running form good on Woj with
awful.
Could not be
awful.
Good.
It is a good thing that hallway was 6 feet wide.
Did Woj though have the day yesterday that everybody dreams of? Every reporter or insider dreams of having. Woj had it yesterday.
Well, the really interesting thing is the when you're standing in that studio, sort of off in the wings to go on, the producers will come out to try to find you to bring you out there, and they kept coming out. No Woj, no Woj, no Woj, because he's down the hall, literally working the phones and can't be doing two things at once. But to see them freaking out and Woj running down the hall in the moment of chaos, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's the moment like? And we'll get to some of the NFL news here in a second. But what's the moment like when you get a piece of news that you know nobody else has?
A lot of anxiety, because not until the moment that you hit send, and even once you hit send, you're wondering if someone maybe snuck in there right before you while you're writing up your tweet or whatever it is to move in there. And sometimes you're working on these things for a long time to the point where he might have known about this trade 2 days ago and couldn't have nailed it down until that very moment. So that whole 2 days, that 48 hours, you're wondering, is someone going to sneak in there and get it?
I knew it. I knew he lied to me. See, I knew he probably knew about this days in advance, and he couldn't give me a wink or nod. Or
but my thought is, and you tell me if you ever do this, if you have something or you know something's going to be there and you undersell it publicly so nobody else is kind of jumping on it.
You got to be careful, too. You got to defend your turf.
Right.
Defend the scoop. A good defense is as good of a good offense in this league.
But post-Woj, like when we're off air, Woj could have walked over to giving him a tap on the rear end and been like, got something for you.
Not Woj. Woj is pretty robotic about that kind of stuff. He knows how to protect it.
Pretty tough to find out Woj doesn't trust me. I thought we were better than that. We had shared a couple of moments down in the ESPN cafeteria, said hi to each other. I figured that was all you needed.
He very easily could be a CIA operative.
Yeah. Reality set in, huh?
Definitely not actual Clark Kent, though, as pointed out always there. Superman was always pretty easy to spot because he looked the part even with the glasses.
Yeah.
Woj without the glasses, still very much Woj.
I love that we just buy into a character that is obviously big enough to be Superman, and he's just a nerdy reporter. One pair of glasses can apparently do that.
That's right.
It's Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey, and we're joined by ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington. How are you going to spend your first Sunday with no NFL football?
Oh, we got a lot of making up to do around the house. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of things we got to do. I don't think I think I'll be doing dishes.
The list got long, didn't it?
Yeah, I got 2 kids under 3.
Oh,
it's just, I'm in a bad place, guys.
Yeah. Well,
and I was in Minneapolis for the Super Bowl. I went home for less than 48 hours, came back up to Bristol. It's,
how much do you wish the XFL was going on
that's
right now?
Yeah, that's right. Anything that we can keep this thing going.
So, well, the one thing that went yesterday was this Jimmy Garoppolo contract.
Yeah.
Do we know any more about it? Signing bonus, breakdowns, incentives, anything because you just look at that number, and we know in the NFL you don't end up with normally that number. So is there anything more to this one yet?
Well, I can tell you that from speaking to a couple of my guys with the 49ers, they were telling me that a couple of things. First of all, they feel like when you see that number, 137 million, almost 140 million, that you just freak out, but they believe this is going to be a very good deal in a couple years. Not to the point where they're ripping off Jimmy, but where it's going to be a very fair market deal in just 2 years' time. they also didn't want to put themselves in a situation that the Redskins find themselves with Kirk Cousins. As soon as they traded for him, they essentially gave up a lot of their leverage. This was not going to be some kind of gritty negotiation where they could come in and say, hey, we love you, but we're going to pay you this. And the other thing, the third and final thing, was they just wanted to set an order of stability within their organization by getting him in there well before free agency, well before the draft, so that they can go into these processes knowing that they have their franchise guy. And it was expressed to me, yeah, we know we paid a lot for this guy, but we feel really good about him. We believe in him 100%. He's got a great relationship with Kyle Shanahan already. And I really don't think it was about those 5 games. Like, could he have gone 0-5 and gotten this money? I don't think so. But could he have gone like 2-3, 3-2 and gotten this money? I do think so.
So you mentioned Kirk Cousins, and they didn't want to be in that situation. How much does the Kirk Cousins negotiation, specifically with the Redskins, now impact all NFL teams when they look at quarterback negotiations?
Well, only from the standpoint that if you really look at the Kirk Cousins spot, and you go back to when Scott McCloughan was the general manager, and I've had this conversation with Scott, there was one point where they probably could have gotten a deal done with Kirk, and it was right after he took over the job from RG3. But the way that the balance just worked in terms of like his rise to prominence and success compared to their value on him, it just never matched up. And it never was going to match up. So I think that teams are best off having conviction about their guy and getting the deal done, as the 49ers are doing, because otherwise the values between the quarterback and the team just don't work.
Obviously, that's a big impediment and a big reason why this happened as soon as it did. Another thing I had imagined factored in was Kirk Cousins' impending deal, Drew Brees' impending deal, and knowing Aaron Rodgers coming up next summer. And on the other side, how much do those guys now benefit from seeing this number?
They do. I think the Kirk Cousins one's specifically interesting because you can get your money in the NFL one of two ways, either through leverage or through just proving it, right? And in Kirk Cousins' sense, yes, he's proven it to a degree, but he's going to get paid because of leverage. It's not because some team is going to think that they've got Jimmy Garoppolo, because quite frankly, if you put the two next to each other, I would guess that 90% of teams are going with Garoppolo, if not higher. So with Kirk Cousins, it's going to be more about, can he get the Jets, the Bills, the Jags, the Browns? Can he get a bidding war going between those teams? When it comes to Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Matt Ryan, those guys, it's going to be a matter of, how can we do this to make sure that the salary cap is such that we do have a winning roster around us?
How about in New England? Tom Brady has always had a friendly deal with the Patriots. This was his backup, barely played, now played and got paid. Is there any part of Tom Brady that's going to go, oh, hell no. No, it ends now. I got to get paid.
You would think so. I would think so as a human being. I certainly would feel that way. Tom is just wired differently. He's able to kind of like manage these situations without getting in his own head and kind of keeping blinders on. I don't know how he does it. I hope he goes in there personally and says, I finally want to get paid.
Right.
Like, pay me. I'm making this. I threw 500 yards in the Super Bowl while your defense was crap. Like pay me. I'm getting you out of the weeds here. So I just don't think that that's in his DNA in terms of he wants to make sure that he's doing everything to get those Super Bowls. And that truly, I think, is what he cares about most.
We're talking to ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington. Jeff, what's the next domino to fall in these big contracts for quarterbacks?
Well, I think you're going to see those other deals with Drew Brees and Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers ultimately kind of come together. And then we just have to wait on Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's just going to be a free agency thing. So it's just a matter of timing whether those other deals get done. But all those guys know now that they are racing against each other in terms of the dollars, because every time one guy goes higher, the next agent's calling up saying, my guy's getting more.
What's that make Aaron Rodgers' value?
I mean, whatever he wants. Oh. That's what I'm saying. But that's where you have to really manage it against the cap. And again, Aaron Rodgers is probably thinking the same thing. Like, you really have to kind of get out of your own head a little bit, because you know you're the best quarterback on the planet and you should get paid the most of any quarterback on the planet. But at the same time, football's a different beast than baseball in the NBA. I mean, it's a hard salary cap. You can't just go break the bank and take the whole cap.
Got to be tough for Aaron Rodgers to balance that with the fact that he knows he can basically drag any team to the NFC Championship we saw last year. So it's he almost, like you said, the total outlier in the other direction, where it's so much been proven on the field. But we mentioned the Patriots. How worried are they about all of the noise we're starting to hear about Rob Gronkowski? Because outside of Tom Brady, you could argue there's no better player on their team.
I don't know how worried they are, because I don't know from the team's perspective, but I can tell you that I've spoken to some people very close to Rob Gronkowski, and the one thing I'll tell you is that it is very serious. And people can say it's a leverage play to get more money because he is going to make less money this year than he would make next year. Right. And maybe money will incentivize him to come back. But I can tell you this is not the result of the Super Bowl loss, and it's not the result of the concussion. He was telling people close to him before both of those things occurred that he was considering retirement, to the point where, gun to his head at that point, he's out. He just feels like the toll on his body after 4 forearm surgeries, 3 back surgeries, a knee situation that he had, that his body just can't hold up any longer. Will he change his mind? You know how this works. 3 months into the offseason, guys start to feel a little better. Exactly. They have the itch. So by no means would I say right now that Rob Gronkowski is going to retire, but I will absolutely say that he is very seriously considering it.
I could see that with the injuries that he had and knowing how everybody has to hit him.
He gets crushed.
He absolutely does.
Defensive players admit it all the time. Like,
and they're not being dirty about it. They're saying this is the way we have to hit him.
That's right.
But I'm with you, and I said that, I think anybody who's played will agree. You're going to have to wait a couple of months until everything kind of heals up and settles down before you get a realistic answer.
And he knows that too. Again, I think there's a reason why he didn't declare this his farewell tour down the stretch. Like I've talked to a number of players who are like, man, I'm done. And then 3 months later,
I don't feel so bad now.
I don't feel
that paycheck is really good.
$9 million more, you know?
Yeah, I was say, if you took a straw poll at the Super Bowl of NFL players who said that they were mulling retirement, I think you would see the football crisis headlines go through the roof.
That being said, I do want to put this caveat on. I believe that this is not just normal contemplations. Right. I think it is more serious than that. But I'd still stay away from it until March, April comes around, you know?
You guys can stay updated on it by following him on Twitter at Jeff Darlington, ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington. Next year, let's see if we can get a GoPro on Woj, and we can have Woj Pro.
That'd be good.
Woj Pro.
I want a GoPro on Jeff at the next Jimmy Buffett concert.
There you go.
I don't want that.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Just remember, if you ever get the chance to hang out with Buffett, call your friends here. That's right. It's Golic and Wingo. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey, with both Golics hanging out. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. This time yesterday, the three of us sat here and thought, you know what? The trade deadline's going to be quiet. Mm-hmm. Maybe there'll be a move of some sort. And then it absolutely blew up, especially with Cleveland, as you just heard, changing over what feels like the entire roster. So to help us break it all down, ESPN Cavs reporter and huge Eagles fan Dave McMiniman joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app, join, and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Before we get to any of the Cavs stuff, McMenamin, first and foremost, what's the party like when you finally get to watch your favorite team win the Super Bowl? I don't know that feeling yet.
Yeah, Jason and Mike, just remarkably satisfying. I got to go to the Super Bowl with my younger brother, and I had so many games with bad seats and watching bad teams, and no matter what the Philadelphia sport over the years, and to have that moment, it's kind of indescribable, and it was. I hope every sports fan gets to have that type of moment with the team they really care about to experience something like that.
It's so cool that you ended up going to the game, and then there was I think they said about 800,000 people at the parade yesterday, ending at the Art Museum, the Rocky Steps. A very, very cool moment for not only the players but the fans. So happy you got to experience that, and now you're experiencing Name Tag Day. I would imagine at Cavs practice. They have a game tonight, right? They play Atlanta. They play in Atlanta tonight. What the heck is going on? So why all the moves? So let's start there. Why all these moves?
The way Kobe Altman described it, the GM yesterday, was I felt like I was witnessing a slow death march, and I didn't want to be a part of that anymore, and I determined we got to do something. And a lot of that was predicated by not only the players throughout the roster underperforming, i.e. Isaiah Thomas, but LeBron James. Kobe admitted on the phone call he had with reporters last night that the spirit that LeBron was playing with was not good enough, but he wasn't taking the blame on LeBron. He was putting it on himself and saying, I put together a roster that just didn't have the right fit. And, once you start to peel back the layers and you make one deal, it became clear that, maybe we can address something here. The Lakers deal, you get rid of Isaiah Thomas to bring in a guy like Jordan Clarkson. But then you start to see, okay, well, I need to make subsequent deals to make the thing really work. And, by the end of it, he did 3 deals in about an hour. And the Cavs are a completely different team, and they have a completely different vibe. And it's kind of wild to think that, hey, you could change half your roster, and it could make you be in a better position, potentially make a run to the NBA Finals. But that is the feeling within the Cavs right now, that they're much better off right now to make a deep run in the playoffs than they were heading into yesterday.
Talking to Dave McMenamin on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And Dave, this group of 4 that got brought in of Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., George Hill, and Rodney Hood has kind of been lumped under the umbrella of this team got younger, it got longer, and it got better shooting and defense, especially on the perimeter. But when you look at each of these guys individually, is there one that you think, especially playing alongside LeBron James, could give them the biggest return early on this investment and all this change?
LeBron James for the last several years has been the most efficient player in the league in fast break opportunities. Meaning there's no better offense you can run than have LeBron James with a head of steam in a 3-on-2 or 2-on-1 situation. If you put him next to Larry Nance in those fast break situations, I imagine that efficiency will only get better. What are you going to do if you're a defender? It's 2-on-1, and you have LeBron coming at you and Larry Nance coming at you on another wing. I mean, this would be Lob City. Hopefully, or the Cavs, I guess, in their case, hopefully, to have both those guys playing defensively along one another and being able to fly around the court, get deflections, get blocks, be a presence down low, something that the Cavs have kind of been lacking. That's the guy. I just think there is so many possibilities. And really, the Lakers teams that Larry played for the last couple of years weren't ever playing for anything. And it's interesting to see guys like that, whether they sink or swim when they come into a higher pressure situation. LeBron loves athletes, and there's been guys over the years that he's gotten so much. Think of Chris Anderson. When he shows up in Miami, he goes from being a journeyman to a key piece on a team that's playing for something every single night. That's kind of what I'm interested to see if Larry Nance Jr. can do the same thing.
We're talking to Dave McMenamin. Dave, you can't make a transaction on trade deadline day for the Cavs and not ask what it means for the future of LeBron. So with all of this reworking, what's your sense of what it does mean for his future?
Well, he's not going to change his process. He's going to make his decision at the end of the year, as he would have if they hadn't made any moves yesterday. Certainly, the people I spoke to yesterday that are close to LeBron or had spoken to LeBron since the deals happened described a very excited person, a happy person, and someone who felt a sense of relief that the Cavs made those deals that were necessary. So, I think the Cavs only helped their lot by the moves that they made yesterday. But again, I think winning would be the best chance to keep LeBron in Cleveland. And they have all these new pieces. They still have to mesh together, even though they did take care of some chemistry things yesterday.
As far as like the basketball people, do they believe that the Cavs are now the best team in the East again, better than Boston, better than Toronto at this point?
Toronto has been kind of the darling of a lot of scouts this year, not only because just their record, but they have the continuity that the other teams in the East don't. And the vibe has changed there, where Dwayne Casey has shown some flexibility in terms of changing up his offense, and while still having the buy-in from all-star backcourt and DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. So I'm not so sure that already sight unseen the Cavs have leapfrogged above everybody out there. But certainly there's a lot more people when you talk to them that think that, okay, if this is what it takes for LeBron to be engaged like he was the other night against Minnesota Timberwolves, and that level of engagement with a bunch of young, active bodies around him, this is going to be a team that's got to be reckoned with.
Dave, when we look at the future now outside of just this season, I know the first thought that popped into a lot of people's minds, especially when they saw the way things were shaping up financially for the Lakers, was the thought that the Cavs actually made it easier for them to clear space for LeBron coming up the following summer. How much do you buy into that?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. One, the Lakers are going to clear space no matter what if they believe they had a shot at LeBron. So, why hurt your team in the short term for something like that in the long term that you really don't have any control over? If LeBron wants to go there, he's going to go there no matter what. And two, well, LeBron doesn't like playing with Isaiah Thomas. So you just said that Isaiah Thomas there, so if the Lakers plan on re-signing him, maybe you didn't, open up, that opportunity. But again, the Cavs saw a chance to address a need, and the Lakers provided them with two players that they feel will be an immediate part of their rotation. And, again, they parted with their own first-round pick, held on to the Brooklyn Nets first-round pick, which they didn't want to trade, and they accomplished that. So if LeBron ends up going to the Lakers, the Cavs will always look like there's egg on their face for this deal. But, quite frankly, this deal could have nothing to do with LeBron going there or not, because there's 28 other teams that the Lakers could have found a taker to clear up cap space.
You can follow him on Twitter at Mick10 to keep up on all things Cavs. Our ESPN Cavs reporter, Dave McMenamin. Dave, thanks for the time, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
All right, my son is trying to explain this cat, and I have no idea what he's talking about. Golick and Wingo, presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever. What is it called?
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat.
I'm going to get the exact definition so I can explain it to you in a way. No.
You know what?
I was wondering when that came.
Behind the glass, you were too late. That doesn't. Mikey C's not his first time on the board.
I'm filling in.
It's not your first time on the board.
Mikey couldn't even show up on time for work this morning.
Holy
I don't want to hear
smokes.
it.
No. Normally I'm on the side of us getting crushed for not doing that. That was too late. That was too late to come in with that.
I feel so trapped in between. It's like I'm watching Mommy and Daddy fight, and I'm very uncomfortable at this point. It's Golick and Wingo at ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz, filling in for Trey. And I don't know, Golick Jr. was talking about Garfield or something, cat that eats
We're going to get that
lasagna.
definition at some point. He can look it up.
We'll figure out what in the heck.
I'll have this ready for you guys. It's a wonderful thought experiment that
you just keep working on that.
I think you're really going to enjoy.
How the same guy that
you keep trying to work on that. Yeah, it was talking about peeing his pants.
And now it's thought experiments. So there's a player experiment going on in L.A. We've broken down this trade from Cleveland's angle.
Right.
A lot, and rightfully so, because obviously the Cavs sort of move the needle for everybody keeping an eye on what's going on in basketball. But we have to look at it at some point and say we are seeing a stamp of who Magic Johnson is as a GM as well. I mean, we're seeing the pieces come together, and this was a big move for the Lakers because, as we've talked about, one of the main components of it is it clears a ton of money. Depending on what they do over the next couple of months, it could clear as much as $70 million, which would let them aggressively go after two max contract guys. So they could go after a Paul George and a LeBron in the offseason should they want to. Magic Johnson is confident that he's going to be able to lure two of those guys this summer. This is what he had to say.
We had a great conversation a couple months ago, and I told Rob, if we can get some flexibility and maybe a first-round pick at the trade deadline, it would be great for our organization. And I want to really congratulate Rob. He did an outstanding job of working the phones and really bringing back something that I could get behind. That's going to be great for what we want to achieve here, which is first we want to get back to the playoffs. Then we want to get back to being a championship team. This gives us the flexibility to achieve those things.
I should properly identify Magic, president of basketball operations.
Right. And Rob Pelinka being the GM, which is, again, interesting, where Magic, in my eyes, the greatest Laker there was. The very short stint as the coach of that team, part owner of that team, the success he's been off the court and out of sports, in the business world and what he's done. And now, and his affiliation to ownership with the Dodgers as well. And now going back and doing what he's doing with the Lakers. A lot of people saying, well, what experience does he have? But he can get an audience with people, and then bringing a guy who was an agent, big time agent, in as the GM. It's like, okay, how is this going to work? And remember, we were just talking about, their 2018 plans, maybe they got pushed to 2019 until they pulled this deal off. Now not only did they dump or get a big salary dump here, they got a first-round pick back as well. They thought they might have to give up one. They got one. They're going to clear all that space. So now it looks like it's on again for this summer, trying to lure, and this is where Magic's going to come into play, of being Magic Johnson, of trying to talk some people into coming to play for the Lakers.
It's one of the few times we've heard Magic talk recently where he wasn't immediately fined after.
How about it? So true.
I'm sure he's being conditioned sort of like Pavlovian, where every time he talks, he just starts pulling money out of his wallet and handing it to whoever's closest around. But as far as what this actually means, and it becomes interesting now. So they've got room for 2 max free agents. We automatically assume that that's LeBron and Paul George. Until it's not. Like, this is the interesting problem LeBron James presents as a free agent, is he sort of nukes what could be long-term plans. Like, we talk about a lot of people. What was the strategy that we talked about a couple of summers ago, which is maybe you just wait out Golden State. Maybe you wait until luxury tax kills this team, or age or greed or whatever comes along the way, and you build your team like the Sixers or like the young Lakers to be able to peak right when that's all over. The problem is, LeBron James becomes available, you kind of throw all that out the window because you understand what a unique opportunity
you make your move, and then if he doesn't come there, you got all this money and all this space, and like, okay, who are we going to grab now? What are we going to do?
I think one of the keys, the biggest key to me, is that first-round draft pick they get back. Because let's remember that they don't have a second-round pick the next couple of years, and they didn't have a first-round pick because it's going away in trade. And Lonzo Ball, for as much as we want to talk about the Ball family, he's averaging 10, 7, and 7. That's not bad at all. Kyle Kuzma has been a surprise, and he's a young star for the Lakers.
Kuzma, Ingram, I doubt Randall's going to be around. He's another guy that could save them some money as well, but they do have some youth there.
And so by getting that first-round pick back, when it looks like maybe, hey, they know what to do with those picks, could it at least gives you a little bit of support that even if they don't go and get 2 guys this summer, if they just get one and save that the other piece over for next summer, they're at least on a track. That's the biggest thing I think Lakers fans have wanted to see, is a track. So we're going to go, speaking of track in the Olympics.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you. I know, but still, it was close enough. We're going to go live to Pyeongtaeng as the opening ceremonies are going on as we speak. It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We'll get a little Olympics.